Your family, whether they appear spiritually inclined or completely asleep, belongs to a collective karmic chain, an energetic rope made of unresolved emotion, forgotten wisdom, and spiritual stagnation. This chain has tension, and over time it builds. But only one link in that chain is chosen to snap the silence, and it is always the link that is ready to transform pain into perception. That link is you. To understand why you were chosen to awaken first, you must understand the one force that shaped the gateway: pain. This pain was not incidental nor accidental. It was engineered, not by cruelty or cosmic negligence, but by a higher intelligence that uses the mechanics of suffering as a portal to remembrance. Every spiritual awakening begins with a rupture, and that rupture often appears in the form of a family wound. In the ancient esoteric schools, particularly in the hidden branches of Gnostic Christianity, certain Shaivite tantras, and suppressed teachings from pre-Kabbalistic mysticism, there exists a principle called the sacred fracture. It refers to the deliberate placement of pain at the core of a soul's incarnation, specifically designed to break the illusion of separateness. The first awakened in any bloodline is always the carrier of this sacred fracture. This pain may appear as abuse, neglect, abandonment, isolation, shame, or deep emotional rejection. It feels deeply personal, but it is not. It is architectural. It is the blueprint of your gateway. Your family wound is the result of accumulated emotional densities that have not been metabolized across generations. Each generation inherits a spiritual inventory: what has been resolved, what has been avoided, and what has been silenced. These unresolved emotions form what mystics call a karmic crust, a dense psychic field that weighs down a lineage. Most members of the family unconsciously continue living under this crust, adapting to it as if it were normal. But for the first awakened, this crust becomes unbearable. You may have noticed, even in childhood, a hypersensitivity to injustice, cruelty, dishonesty, or emotional coldness. You could not pretend the crust was part of life. You couldn't breathe under it. This intolerance was not weakness, it was your initiation. Now comes the most difficult truth. Your family wound is not only the cause of your pain, it is the location of your access point. The very thing you wish to escape is the reason you can now see beyond the veil. Why? Because deep pain collapses the false self. When the pain of not belonging, of being misunderstood or emotionally exiled becomes too great, something within you is forced to let go of your need for approval or belonging. This detachment is sacred. It is what mystics refer to as the severing from the earthbound net. Once severed, you begin to feel things differently, not just emotionally, but energetically. Your nervous system, your dreams, your instincts, all begin to operate on a new frequency. This is not imagination, it is the first phase of energetic transfiguration. You did not find your family wound. It found you. Long before you were born, your soul aligned with this specific family line, not out of karma alone, but because it contained a code, a specific energetic arrangement that would unlock your deeper self when triggered. The wound had to be precise. Too small, and it would not crack the shell. Too vast, and it would destroy the vessel. So it was measured. It was designed. The pain you received was exactly what you needed, not to suffer, but to awaken. Many initiates make the mistake of trying to fix their family too soon after awakening. They believe that by sharing their insights or trying to rescue others, they are fulfilling their purpose. But true awakening begins with internal stabilization, not external rescue. Your family was not meant to be fixed by you. They were meant to activate you. Their darkness was the womb of your light. Until you recognize that the family wound was not a trap but a passage, you remain stuck in blame or guilt. But when you see it clearly, you reclaim your power. You realize you are not a victim of your lineage, you are the redeemer of it. There is one more layer, and it is rarely spoken about: the mirror gate. This is a metaphysical structure within the energy field of the first awakened. It activates at the moment when the emotional pain becomes unbearable and the soul stands at the threshold of collapse or breakthrough. In that instant, whether it was a night alone in your room, a panic attack, a moment of betrayal, or a breakdown, you were brought to what mystics call the gate of the mirror. In this gate, you saw your family for what they really are, wounded souls trapped in their own repeating patterns. You saw the illusion of the roles they played and the truth of who they are beyond form. That moment, though fleeting, rewired your consciousness. You stepped beyond blame. And when that happened, you became what the hidden texts call a lineage flame bearer. Most people expect spiritual awakening to arrive like a sudden flood of peace, wisdom, or bliss. But for the first awakened in a family line, the experience is far stranger, more fragmented, and often cloaked in isolation. If you were truly the first to wake up, your journey likely began in confusion, not clarity. The signs of this kind of awakening are subtle, often misunderstood, and nearly always dismissed by the uninitiated. One of the earliest signs is what I call dream bleed-through. This occurs most often at ages 7, 14, or 21, ages associated with the breaking of energy shells in the soul's developmental journey. You may have experienced vivid, emotionally charged dreams where you were living another life, in another time or place, often with extraordinary detail. These were not dreams in the psychological sense. They were memory echoes, fragments of your soul's pre-incarnate knowledge surfacing before your mind was conditioned to dismiss them. Most people forget such dreams by morning. You did not. You remembered them for years, even if you didn't understand why. Another unmistakable sign is a phenomenon I refer to as timeline flickering. This happens when you know something is going to happen before it does, but only in highly specific circumstances, usually involving members of your family. You might sense someone is about to call, become ill, or walk into the room before it happens. But here's the strange part. These intuitions are rarely useful to you in a traditional sense. They don't help you predict the stock market or avoid traffic. They appear only in moments of emotional or spiritual significance, and they are meant to remind you of your attunement to the subtle grid that underlies your family field. This grid is like an energetic nervous system that links all members of your bloodline. Your awakening made you sensitive to it. This is not a gift, it is a responsibility. A third, almost invisible sign is the presence of phantom mentors. These are figures, often older, wise, and unknown to your waking life, who appear once or twice in dreams, meditations, or altered states. They teach you something deeply profound, speak in symbols, and then vanish forever. No matter how much you search, you cannot find them again. They may wear robes, speak unfamiliar languages, or simply watch in silence. These mentors are part of your soul lineage, not your human family. Their appearance marks the moment when your spiritual intelligence begins to override your ancestral conditioning. They do not come to save you. They come to confirm that your path has begun. Perhaps one of the most painful signs is the experience of silent rejection. This is not loud conflict, but an unspoken, persistent distance between you and your family. They may tolerate you, even love you, but they do not understand you. Conversations with them feel empty, circular, or subtly antagonistic. They often dismiss your insights, mock your sensitivity, or avoid the deeper truths you try to share. This is not personal, it is energetic. On a subconscious level, your awakening threatens their unexamined identity, and their soul instinctively resists it. It is common for the first awakened to be cast in the role of the outsider, the black sheep, or the overly sensitive one. But this rejection is not a curse. It is a confirmation that your vibration no longer fits within the frequency range of their illusion. There is also a curious phenomenon that only a few initiates speak about: the invisible scar. This is not a physical mark, but an energetic imprint left within your auric field. It often manifests after a peak experience of pain or transformation. You may feel it as a permanent heaviness in the chest, a strange coldness in the back, or an ache in your heart during moments of spiritual truth. This scar is the trace of your passage through the mirror gate, discussed in the previous chapter. It is the spiritual equivalent of being branded, not by an external force, but by the gravity of your own soul's commitment to awaken. You carry this scar like a hidden torch, even if no one can see it. Finally, the most private sign is something that is rarely shared aloud. The sense that you were being watched as you awakened, not in a paranoid sense, but with a feeling that something benevolent, ancient, and entirely beyond the physical realm was observing, measuring, and occasionally intervening. This presence does not reveal itself, but it does leave signs, repeating numbers, symbolic animals, songs with impossible timing, or books that fall into your hands when you most need them. You may have chalked these up to coincidence, but they are not. They are markers placed along your path by what certain hidden texts call your soul witnesses, the consciousnesses who agreed to monitor your progress from behind the veil. Their role is not to interfere, but to ensure you're never completely alone, even when you feel abandoned by the world. All of these signs point to a single truth. You were never lost. You were being guided through a labyrinth designed specifically for you, one that no one else in your family could even perceive. After the rupture, the exile, and the sacred remembering, the question becomes, what now? The answer is not dramatic. It is not about becoming a guru, a savior, or a preacher. The final stage of being the first awakened is not about teaching others how to wake up. It is about becoming so whole, so anchored, and so true to your soul's light that your very presence rewires the energetic inheritance of those who come after you. When a soul agrees to awaken first in a lineage, the early years of awakening are marked by grief, confusion, and the peeling away of everything that once defined you. But eventually something changes. The pain softens. The grief becomes wisdom. You begin to feel a shift, one where your suffering no longer feels like a wound, but like the soil in which something new can finally take root. That something is you. But not the you your family knew. It is the deeper self, the radiant thread of divine intelligence you carried long before you were shaped by survival. In this final phase, you become what ancient initiates called the root walker. This is a soul that not only heals but replants. You are no longer just tending to the broken branches of your family tree. You are seeding an entirely new frequency. From this moment forward, your actions, your choices, and the energy you carry begin forming a new psychic structure within your bloodline. This structure is not made of beliefs or ideologies, it is made of coherence. When you embody your soul truth, when your thoughts, emotions, speech, and behaviors are aligned with your awakened awareness, you radiate a field of coherence that stabilizes everyone around you. It affects your children, your siblings, your nieces and nephews, even if they don't understand you. It affects strangers, neighbors, friends. This is not metaphor, this is energetic architecture. Your most powerful tool is not your knowledge, but your frequency. You may never have the conversations you once hoped to have. You may never hear the apologies you deserve or witness your family's awakening in this lifetime. That is not failure. That is part of the contract. You are not here to wait for them to catch up. You are here to walk forward, and in doing so you leave behind a trail of energetic breadcrumbs for anyone who's ready to follow. Living as the root of a new lineage requires a shift from inner excavation to outer integration. This is the moment where the mystical becomes practical. You begin making daily choices from a place of soul sovereignty. You set boundaries not out of anger, but clarity. You forgive not to bypass, but because you understand that carrying resentment would keep the old cycle alive. You speak truth without needing validation. You choose honesty over harmony, growth over comfort, and integrity over approval. These choices may seem small, but they are revolutionary acts of energetic lineage breaking. There is a hidden teaching passed through certain branches of indigenous mysticism and Sufi oral tradition. The first light must not look back, for its eyes are the map for those still lost. This is not a call to abandon your family. It is a call to lead with your back turned to their shadows, to trust that by living in your fullness, you become a gravitational center for healing that words could never produce. Your energy teaches more than your language ever could. At this point, something else happens. Your field begins to attract others who carry a similar flame. These souls may not be related by blood, but they are part of your soul pod. Those who, like you, were chosen to wake first in their own lines. When these souls meet, something ancient activates. a collective memory of the original human blueprint, a remembrance of a time before distortion. These relationships are rarely perfect or easy, but they are sacred. Together you begin weaving a new template for conscious lineage, one that is not based on trauma but on truth, not on survival, but on spiritual maturity. Eventually you become the one others come to in quiet moments, even if they once rejected your path. They may never call it awakening, they may not use your language, but they will feel something in you they cannot explain, a presence, a stillness, a light. That light is not something you found. It is what remained after everything false was burned away. You did not build it, you remembered it, and now it lives in you as a silent transmission of possibility. Please share this video with whoever needs to see it.